Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Lassi Heininen, academic, editor of the Arctic Yearbook, and founder and creator of the Calotte Academy, long-running traveling international symposium on Arctic issues. But you also have many followers outside of the Arctic, Lassi. And so today we have a leading question for you, which is the following. How is the unique methodology and format of Calotte Academy relevant in this era of digital communication? And does it have application in geopolitical contexts outside of the Arctic? But to frame this question, we ask, could you please begin with the origin story of the Calotte Academy, particularly its original objectives and details about the methodology?
Thank you. Thank you for an invitation to speak with you, Rea. It's my pleasure. And even more pleasure to speak about this topic, which, like you mentioned, has been with me for decades, almost the entire my researcher career, as we started already early 1990s. Well, the story, I mean, to start I start by saying that we didn't plan this. We didn't plan this, not at all. We didn't have even a clue that what will come out. But we wanted to make something different. And this was late 1980s, the end of the Cold War. And there was more and more discussion between researchers from the Soviet Union and researchers from the Western European countries and North America. And I happened to be, or I was lucky enough to become a young researcher in an international research project on disarmament and sustainable development in the northern waters and the Arctic. So and there, I mean, even the starting point was very exciting, and particularly thinking today, how in the world, I mean, there are so many threat pictures, enemy pictures, enemies, etc. There is so little dialogue, discussion even between scholars, scientists. I just came last night from Geneva, where we have had a special kind of High North Talks workshop since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So and there that is one of the very few platforms where you have researchers from Russia, from the Russian Federation, and from Western countries, Europe, North America, and Asia. Also, Chinese are there, and okay. So there, in this very rare platform today, I had this kind of feeling what we had in late 1980s, that yes, we have to discuss with each other. And of course, I mean, very simple thing. And so on. Okay, we had that, but then we talked that we would like to have a little bit more. And we were thinking that we have to encourage our colleagues to see the reality. I mean, if we are talking about northern seas, the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean and the Arctic, then it matters if we have some personal experiences on these regions. And we happen to know that our Northern American colleagues, they don't have, because it's not easy there to go up into the Arctic, unlike in the European Arctic it is. Okay, so, but then there was one more thing. as a young researcher, so my task was first to go there, and I did rather long trip there, and I started to like that, be mobile, and so it started to become a process, and the first thing was exactly this kind of face the reality approach. So have locate the sessions, the seminars within the region, the Arctic region. So going beyond the Arctic Circle, and that's what we did. Few of our colleagues were a bit confused, saying that, well, why don't we stay in some airport hotel outside Helsinki? We said no, and then said, why not? We said, okay, please come with us there, and then you will understand why. And then in all these cases, I mean, these who were a little bit skeptical, they said that after 2-3 days, okay, now I got it. Now I understand why we are here. So embodiment is the fancy phrase for describing exactly this, so that it matters for a researcher to experience these things, see them, hear them, smell them, taste them, etc., and be involved with locals. So you can learn so much more. And even here, because just in the end of the Cold War period, when the idea was to create something new. So, and then there was no literature on that, because we were pioneers, trying to foreigners, trying to do these new things. So then we are not able to lean on literature. And I think that this is still the situation in general in dealing with many fields and many cases. Okay, so and then came another thing. We had been in Finland, a small group of us Swedish scholars. We were having meetings with foreign ministries officials and some others. And they started to like that because, again, end of the Cold War, it was unknown situation for them as well. They wanted to know more. And we had good contacts. They used us like by right way. And so came this idea that what about that we should implement the interplay between science and politics, not only to say that it is important. And then, okay, like I said, it's process. So the third thing was multidisciplinarity in the very beginning, and now interdisciplinarity. Because when we had some locals, some local and regional decision makers, etc., and some professionals, so we understood we have to know something about reindeer herding, for example, when as we were in the Finnish Lapland. And so that, okay, then we have to understand a little bit these other academic fields, disciplines. And then it was, okay, then we invited also natural scientists, experts from other disciplines as well, because most of us, we were political scientists. No, not all, but much majority. And then at that time, there was not even that kind of term as transdisciplinarity. But then, because we started to understand, we have to respect their expertise. And then, okay, science, Western science does not own the truth. And it's not the only field of expertise. And then so that we have to have discussion between scientific disciplines, interdisciplinarity, if you wish, and then expertise on other fields. And so that, like with summits, and it started to become rather nice actually, and exciting, and rather soon in Arctic research, traditional knowledge or indigenous knowledge started to be taken seriously. So we were very much there as foreigners. Okay, then we had this fourth aspect, mobility, almost from the very beginning. Although we started in Inari, which is the Sami capital in Finland, but mobility. Okay, let's go to Norway. And then when it was possible, just in the end of the Cold War, let's go to Russia. Very close, this border. And so then we started to do that. And then a bit later came the aspect that, okay, we have these elements, then why don't we train young researchers? So then the Calotte Academy started to have the aim, what is now in the focus, that it is School of Dialogue for early career scientists, PhD candidates and postdocs, because it's so important for them to experience what does it mean to make transdisciplinary research, or how important it is to listen other experts on other fields. And I mean, and then it was rather late when we started to develop the Calotte Academy by more systematic way. And like now, I mean, I don't want to have it too systematic. I would like to have the rough edges still there. You can't plan everything beforehand, and you should not even try. And that is, of course, one of the, well, you have attended, you know that is one advice in the very beginning. Well, be ready to expect some surprises, or that we cannot plan everything, but then please be flexible, because that is the reality there, particularly in up in the north there. So and I mean, it has been very interesting journey to me personally, but I have to say that I mean, I'm rather stubborn person, but I had to be a little bit more. I had to be bold enough to demand these things from me and others, and also to persevere in aiming to reach the goals what we are having. Because I mean, my challenge has been how to attract my colleagues, like say mates more or less, to attend. I have not been so successful in this. Young scholars and students, it's fine, no problem with them. But because my colleagues, they think, oh no, it's not so. Why don't we stay here at campus or at home or whatever? And so that to convince them that this is so important, and personally, it is something where you gain so much more, and you cannot have that in campuses or libraries or only reading literature.
It's a great story, and coming out of the Cold War, it still sounds very innovative and progressive, with this focus on listening to indigenous voices, site-specific interactions, multidisciplinary. But how is this now relevant in our new age of innovation, which is so focused on digital communication and technology as we're experiencing today? What is still relevant about this methodology now?
Yeah, I have started to think about this. That what kind of challenge it is to our model, which could sound a little bit old-fashioned. And one reason could be that, for example, when we plan this, it's not that much what we lean on technology. And we have, only because of the COVID-19 pandemic time, we included only one online session within the week, and that was because our Russian colleagues, we are not able to come. And then, of course, now after the Russian invasion, we still continue this. But it's only one session among 10 to 12 sessions. So and behind there is this is with a purpose, because we don't think that it is possible to reach these aims or implement these plans what we have had. And so that, because I mean, to me it's something that I was born and raised in a small town and in an open environment all my life. But I mean, at the same time, I had all my summers in my childhood in our archipelago. So I have learned to respect nature. And my grandfather was an excellent teacher on that. And by that way, that nature is your everyday's, is part of your everyday's life. And again, I mean, this is something that I have learned, and now I try to transfer that to my younger colleagues, so that please be open-minded and experience that. Do you like it or not? But because in a nature there is something what you are not able to have or adapt, having some equipments or leaning on some nets, and that is the beauty of a nature. And I mean, I believe in that that human beings are not human beings if or when or if they try to live without that. So it's so important value. But again, I mean, it is something that you have to experience that. And again, like being a scholar or scientist, I mean that is your life. I mean, it's part of your society, and you are a citizen of your society. But then you cannot be isolated, or your training or your profession cannot be isolated from that reality. And then even more now when we have the climate crisis, etc., you have to be clever enough to understand where we are and then try to find solutions for that. If climate change is a problem, like I absolutely think and believe, then you have to try to find solutions for that. And one is to respect nature. But again, I mean, you can't do that if you don't experience that. And then of course another aspect is that we are social animals. I mean, I have seen that during a week when these young guys, I mean, majority of them, they don't know the others. But then after the first day, yeah, then they start to chat and talk and so on. And in the end of that week, I hear many comments. Oh, I learned so much. He or she is nothing to do with my discipline. But no, he or she had so excellent questions to me. And so that the value of this, you can't measure that. And universities are not doing this. And so that, like I have said, that this is a motivation to part of the motivation to me to continue this, because universities are not doing this. They should, but they don't. It's complicated, they say. It's not relevant, they say, or something else as an excuse. And so that these two elements, to respect the nature, and that social things are so valuable, will make it the Calotte Academy. I mean, make it possible to have that one method of the Calotte Academy, a dialogue. And because in a dialogue you have to be in that mood that you are ready to take new information, new ideas, etc., either you agree or not. If you don't agree, then you give your comments and your contributions, and then together we try to create something new. If not always, of course, but at least are thinking some new ideas. So that's why I believe that this is still a method which is functioning well, and which should be used more. Particularly if we, I mean, having highest education, what in Western countries, Western cultures you can have after becoming after doing PhD and becoming professor or whatever. So we are the most educated persons then in our societies. Then we have responsibilities as well, and then we should be able to play our role and like I said, be open-minded and capable to find solutions.
Calotte Academy is very rooted in the nature, as you mentioned, and the particular social structure there of an indigenous voices, etc. But you have used this phrase, don't copy, apply. So for those of us in other and shifting geopolitical contexts, I'm speaking to you from the Mediterranean today, how can we apply this methodology of the Calotte Academy in other natures, in other ecosystems, both social and physical?
Yeah, I think that several years ago came this don't copy, apply, because I mean my colleagues in Canada, Alaska, they attended the Calotte Academy a few times, and then they thought that okay, can't we have North America Calotte Academy? I said, well, you may, but I mean, the reality there, the circumstances are rather much different what they are in the European Arctic. So it might be a bit more challenging, and 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 particularly because the distances are much longer there. The infrastructure is not that good at all what it is in the European Arctic. Because one idea what I didn't mention earlier was that we have crossed the borders. Being mobile, we have crossed the borders. Borders of 4 different states: Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Russia. But also borders of the Sami area, Sapmi. But I mean, always we have taken that it is element we are doing that. And that is, but it is important experience, of course. But in North America, I mean, there are only Canada and the USA, and there it's a little bit different. But first of all, the distances are so long. So okay, and then came up okay, but you can make that there if you don't try to copy, but adopt. Apply the method to your reality. Well, it has not been yet really happening there. Maybe the reality has been a bit more challenging what I thought, or they thought. But all in all, it is possible. And I mean, I'm thinking that. Why I can say that it is possible to apply. I mean, it is simply because it is a method. I mean, if we think 2 most important elements of the Calotte Academy, mobility and dialogue, both are methods. So then they are not dealing with geography at all. So that it's more that how you would like to do, or how you would adopt the method. But of course, I mean, I would say, or my recommendation would be that it is good to keep these 2 methods, because otherwise I'm afraid that it's not easy to read something new or produce something new. And one more thing, I think that each place has its Inari. So Inari is, like I said earlier, the Sami capital of Finland, and that is the center of the North Calotte, the Calotte Academy world. We started there. We started at the Sami College at the time, and we have continued this, and very, very important. So then, for example, you only find that as some kind of center. It doesn't mean that it has to be big. No, Inari is small. But there is something special, something which is some sort of added value. And then you do, then you bring your expertise there, or invite others to come there and ask them to make a reality check there. So what do you think? How the people, the local people, how they live here, and I mean, simply this kind of fact finding, which is part of research, what you should do. But of course, the idea is to go deeper, because this dialogue is not only between between the participants of the Calotte Academy. As important is a dialogue between the participants and the local people or local actors. And here we come to very important aspect, and that is agency. So whom we recognize as actors. Like I said earlier, it's not only Western science, the value, I mean, expertise, etc. It's like the Sami, I mean, about like climate change. I heard this, it was one of the previous Calotte Academies almost 20 years ago, when an old Sami fisherman described the change, the change of climate change in his river within the last 50 years. And we don't have data. The data covered at the time only the last 20 years. And here we are. I mean, what a valuable contribution for science. Because this guy remembered how it was when I started as a young man. So inclusivity is there, and that is one very important aspect of the Calotte Academy, that we recognize these actors. We give the value of to their expertise, and we try to have them to be involved in. Of course, it's also challenging to them, because I mean, they might think, oh, these are so well-educated experts. So what I can say here? Well, you can say many things, but we don't know, but you know. So again, I think this is universal. I mean, then yes, you can apply.
Lassi Heininen, thank you very much for this talk about the Calotte Academy. It's inspiring for those of us who want to apply. Thanks again.